We went from UFO to UAP to drones. Like, I didn't know we needed to be politically correct about aircraft as well. I didn't know they had preferred pronouns.
As a Black trans woman who's more liberal, the conservatives will support the trans conservative more than the liberals will support me.
That's that schizophrenic liberal babble, that psycho babble. San Francisco Health Department hires fat positivity expert. Oh my God.
I have been misgendered 3 times in the past 24 hours.
White supremacy is so engulfing of white people.
That's scary. Genuinely scary. Merry Christmas, everybody, and welcome back to the Blaire White Project podcast, the final edition of the Blaire White Project podcast of 2024. That was a whole tongue twister, but I managed. I survived. Just like I did throughout the year, right? Like we lived, bitch. We're here. We're not queer, because that's embarrassing. But we are, we're existing right now. And that's all you can really... It's all you can really ask for, right? It's been a year. It's been a very transformative year for me personally. I thought I was kind of done with the whole transforming thing after I did it once, right? But I definitely went through a lot of transformations this year. It's been extremely, trying. This has been definitely on a personal life level and also just a world event level, some crazy-ish for me and us. But, again, like I said, we're here. We survive. And it is what it is. I feel like that sounds black-pilled. I'm actually quite white-pilled right now. In fact, hello. It's Christmas. I do feel like 2025 is going to be crazy, right? And so I do recommend, resting up until then, right? I feel like... Not the voice cracking. I don't know. It's just a lot of weird shit in the sky right now. Literally. I saw something about the Pope, right? And I know I'm new to believing in God, right? And we're going to get into that later in this podcast. I want to talk about that. But I heard something about that Pope opening up some kind of portal. Some kind of sacred portal that, like, some people are saying is of the devil on Christmas. I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? So who knows, where we're going to be at for the new year. But I know that I'm going to get through it. Y'all are going to get through it. And part of getting through it is unpacking this crazy stuff together. So let's jump into the podcast. What does sleeping with 100 men in one day... It's Christmas, really? I feel disrespected. The producer even put this story first on an episode I'm uploading right before Christmas. We could have rearranged that, but let's just, I don't know what sleeping with 100 men in one day does to the soul, but I know what even reading and seeing that you did it, young woman, does to me, which is this shit makes me want to never have sex again a day in my life. This makes me, I don't ever want to have sex again. Thank you for that. This is diseased. Probably quite literally. I mean, did you test? Okay, some context for the story. Let me not just ramble here. This is, I believe, an OF creator who, in this world where we treat our bodies, our minds, and our souls like algorithms, right? The same way you got the YouTubers talking about, I tried 100 new types of chips. You got people like this on this platform talking about, I gave my body, my soul to 100 men, and now I'm questioning what it did to my soul. Baby, this is what you get on a real note, to stop joking about this, when you have a society that is normalized. First of all, even like being on OnlyFans, right? And it's not to say that obviously adult work, sex work has existed forever, right? Oldest profession. But it's been so normalized that like you're supposed to look at it the same as you look at like someone who works in a grocery store or somebody like a librarian or some shit. Like, it's really not that. The clip that's going viral is her being filmed immediately after, which I feel dirty and like I'm clicking on something nasty, even just like a video of her fully clothed after she did it. Like, I feel like it's still in it, but okay.
I think sometimes like feeling so like robotic, like by the 30th, like when we're getting on a bit, I've got like a routine of like how we're going to do this. And like, it just, sometimes you'd like disassociate and be like, you know, like it's not like normal sex at all. In my head right now, I can think of like 5, 6 guys, 10 guys that I remember, and that's it. But it's just, I don't know, it's just weird, isn't it? Like, if I didn't have the videos, I wouldn't have known I've done 100, you know? But yeah. I think that was kind of...
That is very sad. That is very sad. First of all, congratulations on like realizing you're not a robot and you can't approach like sex, which is supposed to be a connection between two people. We don't even have to go as far like as like missionary position for creating children. Like we don't have to go full trad wife to understand that like sex is still supposed to be a bond between two people that's special and involves some level of emotion, some level of like bonding, and not like you getting ran through from 100 strangers. I'm sure you made a lot of money off of this. I would hope. My God, I hope. I hope. Because you're going to need to spend it in therapy. And I'm not trying to be mean. Y'all know when I'm trying to be mean, I say I'm being mean. The fact that you can remember 4 or 5 out of 100, that's called you went out of body. That's called you had an out of body experience due to something extremely traumatic. You've done a number on not only just your physical body, but what's up here and what's in here. I feel like this is like, I was only kind of kidding when I said this made me never want to have sex again. Is sex that deep to y'all? Is sex that important to y'all? That you're like, let me like around and like do it 100 times with 100 people in a day. That is disgusting.
What's worse, being a slut or a racist?
And the reason, let me be clear, because a lot of people are, you know, attacking this girl, and like she does deserve it to a great extent, right? She does, you know, if you're going to partake in dumb bitch behavior, you do in fact deserve for the world to clock you as a dumb bitch. So we can do that, but then we can also elevate and say, what happened? What happened to you? Coming from an actual full place of empathy and love, what happened in your life that informed you that this was a productive and or normal and or acceptable way to treat your body? We know partly what's happened to her because one of the things that's come up, I've seen people posting, is that her mother is in fact her manager and helped set this situation up. That's demented. Some may call that satanic ritual abuse, just being honest. Like this reeks of, there's probably even satanic ritual abuse that is in fact less harmful than this. And your mother's profiting off of it. What the fuck is that, mom? And then of course, anytime you have a woman crying on camera and a woman who has been hurt, right? Because she has been hurt. It was just by herself. Like it was self-harm. You have the feminists running up, you know, they're going to put their hat in the ring, and their take is shame on the men exploiting Lily Phillips. Spectator by Julie Bendel, who is, y'all know who Julie Bendel is. She's one of the most cringe, like hog-faced feminists out here doing it, right? Like as far as the feminists doing it, and as far as the feminists who have a hog face. I'm so mean. That was so mean. Like, she's dumb, but like, did I have to call her a hog? I didn't have to do that. One can make a better argument, right, that Lily Phillips actually exploited the men partaking in this, because Lily Phillips was getting all the money. I doubt she paid these men, and if she did, it was probably scraps. They're the ones that now have their identities on camera exposed being nasty, right? And she's being the nastiest, but like, honestly, we can have the conversation about how men are at fault for creating, you know, an industry. By and large, men are at fault for creating an industry where this is profitable and seen as something remotely acceptable in the public sphere. And when I see stuff like this, I always think about like, I know it's somewhat demented to take like morality, you know, sex, or, you know, relationship advice from a tranny, but you're going to have to do it today because you clicked on the video. You signed up for this. My take is this. Stop separating the act of sex from like relationships and love. I'm not going to be up here and like criminalize everybody who has sex outside of marriage, babe. But what I am going to say is stop thinking that's not going to wear you down or affect you long term, you know, and affect your perception of the opposite sex or whoever you're banging. Stop assuming it's not going to have physical ramifications, but then stop only focusing on those physical ramifications. I feel like when sex ed was introduced to like the millennial generation and below, I feel like it's just mostly focused on like the physical health risks of having sex unprotected or, risky, physical sex. What about the mental health ramifications? I never heard about that in sex ed. And isn't that part of the PSYOP itself, right? We should maybe start putting the mental health, the emotional health risks into sex ed if we're all just signing up to teach kids about this in schools regardless. Because I never heard about that. I've never done it, but I have never heard either that if you are a woman and you just have sex with a bunch of men who you are not in a relationship with, you don't marry them, that would maybe wear on your heart, mind, and soul and maybe cause you to develop certain mental disorders, anxiety, depression, right? We talk about how over-medicated society is and how white women in particular, there's studies to show this, are the most mentally unhealthy, genre of people. They also just happen to be the genre, like they're like a brand. They also just happen to be the demographic of people who are targeted with this propaganda that like on your 18th birthday, you can sign up for OnlyFans. And it doesn't matter how many strangers you have sex with. Men do it. If men do it, you can do it. Not really. Men and women are different. And that's where it gets back to, you signed up to hear a tranny's opinion, so you're going to get it right now. When it comes to the differences between men and women, sorry, whose feelings it hurts. But someone who was born male and then went through the psychological effects of transition and then in society, I will say this. Men and women are very different. The way I perceived sex before transitioning was like a 180. You cannot just throw your body around as a woman and expect it to not affect you mentally or emotionally. And if you want proof, you can see it live, loud, in color right here. She's crying. And those tears don't even look like they're coming from her tear ducts. Those tears are coming from like somewhere deep down in here. Very sad, very sick, very deranged. Moving on. Speaking of very sad, very sick, very deranged, we have something that I want to react to. We have some haters that we're going to react to right now. And you may recognize these beasts because they are beastly in both stature, right? Just the overall size, and in spirit. And I know I said that, when I reacted to these, creatures of the deep, these monsters about a year ago, that I was not going to give them the light of day anymore. But it's in fact a new day, and I've changed my mind. I'm going to respond to them again because they can't stop talking about me. They just can't. It's a sickness. It's an addiction, and baby, I get it. I get it. But Blossom, Shane, see, for me, there's a lot of power in a name, and for you to pick Blossom, something very soft, right? That soft name. And then to come through with that very hard energy, it's just not. But let's just get into what they're actually talking about. They did a podcast talking about minorities who are Republican and or conservative. And they did a whole thing talking about that. And we're going to see what they have to say.
Trans, gays, all that, just talking about they're conservative and this is why they're conservative. I'm like, you guys are conservative, but you're conservative with the idea that you have a voice in that space.
I feel like a lot of the times it's rooted in racism, though, when it comes to that, like within our community. Like, let's be real. I see a lot of trans people that kind of get into this pocket of like, I'm trans, I can't be racist. It's like, girl.
Well, they support the Blaire Whites and the Buck Angels and even the dolls and all the things or whatever. But it's so funny because in my opinion, Blaire White is so in proximity to whiteness that she doesn't, in my opinion, white. and even the doll as well. Those girls, in my opinion, they try to look so Eurocentric or whatever, but it's like, girl, you're people of color, and the thing is, white supremacy is going to ditch you and trash you. And the omelet.
First of all, does she just say white supremacy is going to dick me?
White supremacy is going to ditch.
That is the nasty. Did she say that? I don't think she said that, because if she said that, that's like the nastiest sentence I've like ever heard. So we're going to give you the benefit of the doubt on that. I'm not going to rewind it because I don't want to hear it again, because I could barely understand the language y'all are speaking. It's so crazy to be like post-Trump election, like the way y'all are talking, it just feels like 10 years out of date already. That's how much like I feel like people have changed and realized like what works and what doesn't, as far as like what's crazy and what's not after Trump winning. It's like, this just sounds like some ancient schizophrenic like language that even 5 years from now, we're going to have to like have professionals that can even decode. Like, what the fuck were liberals talking about between 2010 and 2024? Because it actually sounds insane. So for the first one, Little Miss Red Riding Hood over here, looking like she's riding straight out the hood, looking like Wendy's on crack, right? Miss Wendy, for you to talk about that I don't have a voice within conservatism, let me just, I don't want to be conceited, because I'm really not. And if you know my actual spirit, I'm not going to say I'm humble, because that's a lie, right? I'm self-aware. I know what I'm good at, what I'm bad at. I know my good traits, my bad traits. I know what I accomplished, what I could accomplish more if I tried harder, but I'm being too lazy. I know what I fail at, all those things. I actually have a huge voice in conservatism, a huge voice among MAGA, a huge voice among Republicans in general. That's just a fact. That's just a fact. To pretend as if I don't have a voice in conservatism or on the right just because I'm trans, it seems to be you're the only one saying that. It seems to be you're the only one trying to silence me. Whereas I've had a career in the right-wing space now for almost a decade. We're coming on year 9, baby. That's crazy. 9. Wow. And I just don't know. Just because you're not listening, just because you're hard of hearing, right? I don't know what to tell you. But as far as Miss Blossom talking about I'm in proximity to whiteness, again, that's that schizophrenic liberal babble, that psycho babble that will in fact need some sort of translation very soon, because our ability to even understand what you're saying, it's waning. It's waning. Proximity to whiteness. I am white. I have white in me. Right? I have other things in me. I'm many things besides my race. That's just going to shock you. Many things. Many things. And if somebody were to, I know this is going to shock you too. If somebody were to meet me for the first time and they were like, who are you? Tell me about you. I could probably rant about myself and explain who I am for an hour without mentioning my race. I really could. I really could. And you would get about a nanosecond in before doing that, because you start every sentence with as a black trans woman. That's the lens you see life through, and that's tragic because that's a very limited scope, right? And you clearly have a very limited scope of politics, scope of how the world works, scope of yourself. You don't have any self-awareness. Because if you did, like I said, that ass whooping you got from me a year ago and that Miss Amala gave you, you would have either left the internet for good or made damn sure you rebranded.
You
and the Amalas and the Clarence Thomases.
Yo,
and the what's his name, Myron Gaines.
Oh
they
my God.
don't like you. You will never be them. Candace Owens. You will never be.
She's not allowed
them.
in Sweden or something, right?
Okay. So this is what gets me. You're listing off all these people who, good, bad, or indifferent, no matter what anybody thinks about them, you cannot say that they are not popular within their own rights and influential and have a ton of fans. Like, you can think I'm dumb. Blossom, Shane, whatever the other girl's name is. Y'all can disagree with me. You can hate me. You can think that I am fighting for a side that will never like me. First of all, who the holds a political opinion based on who's going to like them as a result? That is like some weird, again, limited scope, like childish. I'm going to hold opinions because I want to be part of a community and I want people to like me. That's weird. And you're projecting your own beliefs there. You're not saying shit about anybody else's. To list Candace Owens and be like, no one's ever going to like you. Candace Owens, every other person you just listed, I'll include myself in it as well. How can you be like naming them and listing them as people who are like followed by a lot of people on the right, influential, and be like, they're never going to like you? So really? So you think everyone just hate watches Candace Owens? You think all the comments in her comment section, like, thanks for this video, Candace, taught me a lot, love you. You think that's like people being fake? Again, that's where we get back into the schizophrenia that y'all clearly have. The love that all these people and myself get from people on the right. For you to think that we're fighting for a side that will never like us, you would have to think that everyone who says they like us is fake, which is strange. And everyone likes to, use that talking point, all the low vibe, low IQ people. And what I have to say about that is, who gives a fuck who likes me, first of all? I've never been someone who cares about that, which is why I've been consistent in my entire career with my opinions. I don't ebb and flow with my opinions. Oh, this is an election year, so it's unpopular to support these things. Name anything I've flip-flopped on. And when I say flip-flopped, I mean changed because the wave of consensus is changing, or what's popular has changed. I might have changed my opinions on a few things based on information and new facts, but never because it was popular or less popular. That's not actually a metric I factor into my belief system. Baby girl, baby boy, baby they. It's just not. I believe what I believe because I believe it to be true based on facts. And that's, in my opinion, the only way to do it. Y'all's idea of politics is clearly just fostering a community of people around you, and I just can't relate to that.
As a Black trans woman who's more liberal, the conservatives will support the trans conservative more than the liberals will support me. It's like we didn't support our own.
When the video,
y'all need to get a narrative straight. Please get one narrative straight. I know y'all are gay as fuck, but get one thing straight. Will they never like me, or do they support me more than your people support you? Both of these things cannot be true at once. You cannot be ranting about how conservatives will never like me, but then you're like, conservatives support her more than liberals support me. Maybe that comes down to just being a bad person or not. Maybe that just boils down to being smart or not. Maybe that comes down to having morals or being likable or not. Maybe the source of all your problems actually are just that you're not that likable, babe. That might be it. That might be it. Because I actually, back on that self-awareness tip, I'm quite aware that, I'm kind of unlikable, right? Not objectively unlikable, not wholly unlikable. I'm for a refined taste. These are the very high vibrational people, right? These are the very high frequency people. These are the artists, the innovators, the prophets, the just very ahead of their time ass people that like Blaire White. So shout out to everybody in the comments who, fits that description, the Blaire White army. However, I'm also aware I have many traits that are unlikable, right? You might dislike that I get quite loud. You might dislike that I have a certain opinion, but you can see what happens when you are like objectively unlikable, which is someone like y'all. Y'all are hitting on that like 99.9 percentile unlikable. I'm more like 50-50. Just saying.
Trans men, like the rights of abortion access and the rights of trans access, that intersectionality there is like, someone like me could basically be erased by not even having access to that. And it's this crazy political sphere because now you've got people that are like debating my life for sport and making money and grifting off it, like Amala, like the Blaire Whites, all these people that are causing all this intersectional harm that really experience no consequences. They just make money off it.
I hope all of their children are gay. I hope all of their children are gay.
You hope all of our children are gay. See, it's so crazy because when you understand the mindset of a lib, you understand that everything is about projection. Everything is about secretly just finding unique pathways to voicing their hatred while trying to come across as the opposite. So it's so funny how often I see liberals resort to like using gay as an insult or as some sort of punishment. I hope all their children are gay. Bitch, I wouldn't blink twice if my child was gay. And gay or not, my child would be way smarter than you. I don't know what happened to you in the womb, babe. I don't know what went wrong in your development, what went sideways, what went crooked, because some may say there actually are way worse things to be born as than gay. Retarded being one of them. That's just my personal assessment. So again, maybe that's that projection coming out. Y'all are mad about how y'all were born, but I don't think anybody on that list is really going to be that upset if they have a gay son. I know y'all love arguing with like the caricatures of what conservatives were in like the 80s and the 70s, back when also Democrats didn't like gay people, by the way. But like, ain't nobody really tripping off a gay son anymore. Sorry. And for Shane to be like listing off people that don't have any skin in the game talking about trans issues and just make money off of it. Bitch. How trans activists talk about me, I'm like trans when it's convenient for them, and I'm not trans when it's like convenient for them. So they will in a heartbeat put me on a list of people who are not trans who profit off talking about trans issues as if I'm not trans, as if I don't actually have skin in the game by talking about these things. It's just ignorant, and I would have hoped y'all came better. I really would have hoped, again, after it's been over a year since you got your asses beat on Jubilee. But then again, I just saw Shane got his ass beat again by Ben Shapiro. So you never learn. There's never been, where's the growth? Where's the healing? Because we need healing. San Francisco Health Department hires fat positivity expert. Oh my God. To consult on weight, stigma, and neutrality. Wow.
Like, she's huge, but she's so beautiful. She's a mammoth, of course. And
every day I'm reminded why I am so happy I moved out of California. You know, sometimes I get nostalgic about like before things were just like completely fun. And I'm like, oh, the weather. Oh, the ocean. Oh, the like Santa Monica, Hollywood Boulevard. And then I'm like, oh, never mind. In fact, if you want to secede, California, like, I know y'all accept illegal votes. I'll send a vote from Texas to California. I know you'll count it because you'll count any vote. I'll vote for you to go ahead and part ways, babe. Peaceful divorce. Because what the what is that? Because I've never seen a fat zombie. Usually, when I see creatures of the night like this, when I see the undead, they're withering away. They're quite thin. In fact, it may just be a little bit of meat hanging on to some bones. And this is the thickest zombie I've ever seen. And it really is just like, sometimes I think about how so much that happens is just like an energetic representation. And let me explain what I mean by that. Like, this is a perfect representation of what health and wellness really is to the left, which is the opposite of what health and wellness is to anybody. Y'all remember that article that was like the far right's obsession with fitness? Like, they have done everything to designate health, well-being, mental clarity, fitness into a box that is not them. This is like the sickest woman I've ever seen.
Where do you see the intersection really? What is your definition of health?
Yeah, that's really complicated, right? I think I want to talk about that question, but I want to start by saying that, you know, no one has to be healthy. No, right? Like, I mean, it's like, no, like there is no governing body that's like out there putting, you know what I mean? It's like no one owes anybody that in either the traditional sense of the word or any other more innovative or, you know, more politicized, maybe even version of that word. So I think it's important to say like, and I want to back up and bring in intersectionality and say like, right, like look at the disabled community, right? Like I think people with disabilities have and activists within that space have consistently been saying, like, I'm never going to be your notion of healthy. That doesn't mean I don't get to be a full human. You get to treat me some kind of way, right? And so I think that I love taking that.
Hired by the health department, and her opening sentences, first of all, no one needs to be healthy. And sometimes when I hear the libs talk, I'm going to be honest, I get a little jealous. Maybe the reason I'm so mean to y'all is I'm a little bit jealous. I am actually jealous that, like, when I come on here and I speak and I give my opinions on politics and the world and issues and I try to give insight, I actually think about what I'm going to say before I say it, and I try to, like, make sense. These bitches have so easily just gone the route of, like, I'm actually just going to say a bunch of words. None of them connect. Nothing of cohesion is occurring. Nothing makes sense. It's going to be a word salad, and people are going to not only accept that, they're going to pay me for it, and they're going to hire me and put me in positions of authority. Kamala Harris. Like, I'm kind of jealous. I think maybe I picked the wrong lane of, like, talking and, like, needing to try to sound intelligent about it. Clearly being a dumb bitch is so much easier, and you're actually going to get hired for it. But these bitches will walk up, say nothing, and get hired by the government. Like, that's crazy. Wow. I guess I'm just a little bit jealous. I would like to take this moment and just make a point here. This had me thinking. Y'all remember that Cosmopolitan, I believe it was, cover of Tess Holliday? I think that because we were so transfixed with how big she was, how round and robust this bitch was, we couldn't see the things that were said on the magazine cover. And I saw it the other day on my timeline, and I was like, oh my God, look at these other stories. If you can ignore the robustness, right, that sturdy build for a second, if you can just pay attention to what's written on the magazine, is success in illness? The other lover, why I vetted my wife's affair. This is what I mean when I say that the government and the corporate media actually has it as a high priority to keep people sick, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. Is success in illness? Don't aspire, little person. Don't aspire. You need to lose. And we got to make you enjoy losing. See, it's not enough to oppress you and suppress your spirit and who and what you really are. We need to make sure you enjoy it and thank us. So eat all the fucking nasty poison food we make, right? Just dump that shit in your mouth. Get fat, get sick, get cancer, right? So destroy your body. But while we're doing that, we got to make sure we destroy that mind as well, and that soul, and that desire to live up to your higher self. So we're actually going to explain to you how success is an illness. See, all that food, the obesity on the cover, that's not an illness. Success, that's an illness. The other lover, why I vetted my wife's affair, because that nuclear family, that's got to go too. That's got to go too. We got to split that up, because that actually stabilizes you in the world. And that's a springboard for you to get the other thing, the success, right? If you have a strong nuclear family, you might get sick with success. So you can see here, this is an all-out assault on the human spirit. This isn't just, we want people to be fat and sick and die physically. It's like we want to kill everything that's in them, indicating that they can be something more. And that is crazy. And it's even more of an indication of how they do it by, like, sensationalizing things and blinding you, that they can fit in these sick stories on the cover. Success is an illness. Cheat on your husband. And you don't even notice it because there's like a fucking clown on the front blinding you. You're like, oh my God, this crazy fat bitch. And you don't even notice it's also like subconsciously programming you to, like, lose in life and, like, cheat on your husband. That's crazy. That's crazy. Let this be some shit that we let go of in 25. Please. This whole, like, it's cool to be physically, mentally, spiritually, and intellectually unwell, that's gotta go. Oh God. Clearly, these articles are not listed in order of like most alarming to least alarming, because it actually only gets scarier. Mystery drone sightings continue in New Jersey and across the US. Here's what we know. So, first of all,
it's getting weird.
Right off the bat, I'm going to ask y'all to do something. Get the phrase New Jersey out of your head. Stop saying it. Remove it from your vernacular as it relates to the drones. And actually get the word drone out too, because I personally feel as though both of those phrases here are psyops. To say New Jersey drones as if this is a New Jersey thing and not a worldwide thing at this point. There are in fact videos and pictures coming across all over the world, both coasts, multiple countries. It's the world. And also drones, that's a psyop. I don't really care if some of them are drones or not. The fact that we went from UFO to UAP to drones, like I didn't know we needed to be politically correct about aircraft as well. I didn't know they had preferred pronouns. I didn't know there was like a way to dead name an aircraft. Like all of this is just a psyop. They're unidentified. They're flying. They're objects. They're UFOs. So I'm going to call them that. Because regardless of what you think their origin are, again, they are unidentified, they're flying, and they're objects. So the UFO sightings are actually on another level. Crazy. And it's now officially a part of like everybody's world, which is crazy. Here's what y'all don't know about me, because it's not something that I've ever actually been very forthcoming with about online, because it's just not an issue that I felt like most people cared about. But now that's clearly different. I'm actually someone who's very deep in the ufology of things. Bitch. I said ufology. Yes, I did. 'Cause that's a real phrase. The study of the unidentified flying object phenomena. It's a real phenomenon. I'm somebody that's actually very much well read and very much has kept up with how this issue has progressed from the time I was a kid until now. I've always been interested in it. And, you know, I know all the sort of like major players who talk about it publicly, who study it. If you don't even know there's people who study it, it's a brand new world for you, I'm sure. The whole world talking about it. Just know this is not a new thing. In fact, here's my take. I have a few takes. The government is first and foremost completely, not only just lying, but I believe completely incompetent. Because you cannot say out of both sides of your crooked mouth, we don't know what they are, but they're not a threat, don't worry. See, those things don't actually jive. It's very clear that there is a mix of things happening. Because I keep up with like real UFO sightings, and again, to believe there are real UFO sightings does not mean you have to go straight to aliens. It means that there are real unidentified flying objects that are commonly seen in the skies, and there is a progression of people who study them and follow them. Because we gotta understand there's multiple things happening. Those orbs, babe. Those orbs. Maybe a little different than a drone. A lot of people are very, very close-minded to the idea that any of these craft have any origin other than like a country that we recognize, like it's either US or China or Canada or whatever. Like, I personally believe there is non-human intelligence involved here. And I really don't care how crazy that sounds, because be for real, crazier things have happened. There actually has been crazier shit that's happened in recent times than just like, oh, aliens exist. Because if you look at this from the bird's eye view, you understand that the unidentified flying object phenomenon is not anything that is of our current culture exclusively. It's not new. These things have been depicted in human art since the beginning of humans, particularly orbs, particularly disc aircraft have been in ancient art from all over the planet since the beginning of human recorded history. So for me, there's always been some other shit going on. There's always been something in the human consciousness that has identified these things visibly. There's been certain cultures that have like worshipped them. There's been certain cultures that have had their various explanations for them. Religious people will tell you it's angels and demons.
They're not aliens. They've always been here. And I do think it's spiritual. That's my view. If the U.S. government has in fact had direct contact with these beings, whatever they are, I've already told you what I think they are, and has entered into some sort of agreement with them, which is which is the claim of informed people, I would say, whether they're right or wrong, I can't say conclusively. But if that is true, I mean, it's a very, very, very heavy thing.
Secular people will say that it's just another country or it is aliens. Everyone has their words for it. But what really no one denies is like there is some crazy shit in the sky. And I know there's like a line of thinking that like, oh, I believed in aliens until the government told me that aliens were real. First of all, that's not even true. There are highly credible whistleblowers that have been coming out in recent years and actually for a few decades.
Do you believe that our government is in possession of UAPs?
Absolutely, based on interviewing over 40 witnesses over 4 years. Biologics came with some of these recoveries.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human, and that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program I talked to.
Has the government conducted secret UAP crash retrieval programs, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, were they designed to identify and reverse engineer alien craft, yes or no?
Yes.
You know, that's the thing. People have been coming forward for a very long time, sometimes literally like lose their life over disclosing this stuff. Phil Schneider being one of them, look him up. So there's clearly a much larger faction in the government that does not want this information out. Some of the craft in the sky are absolutely, you know, drones, but like of human origin, clearly. But I'm sorry, I didn't know drones could go 40,000 feet in the air, because there's like videos from people in planes, like passenger planes, seeing these things. So that's not really drones to me. You have to remember, yes, the government lies about everything. They are absolutely capable of faking an alien invasion. But let's not forget, for like 100 years, they've told you that aliens are not real and that believing them makes you crazy. So make up your mind, like, which lie are we believing? Which lie are we combating? Like, it's not as if they've been forthcoming about that either. And I understand it's a very deep rabbit hole. And so if you're first looking into this, you're like, what is this talking about? I personally do not believe that they are extraterrestrial in the sense of they come from a different star system. I really actually do believe there's probably another form of life on the planet. I really do. Because you also have to remember and understand that humans occupy a very, very small percentage of the planet. You think about the ocean, how it's like wholly uncharted. There's just a lot of scenarios, and you actually don't have to go to like they came from a different star system or they came from a different galaxy. It could literally just be like, actually there's like other people. And if you are following the congressional hearings, you know there's been trillions of taxpayer money spent on back engineering programs that have put this stuff into the hands of private contractors like Lockheed, like Boeing, like different aerospace companies. It's pretty much just an open secret that it is some form of non-human intelligence. And you can speculate what that is. I'm not here to tell you what that is, but I do believe that's part of it. And I think the what you're seeing in the skies right now is a combination of things. I think there's human activity in the skies, but a lot of people are filming human looking craft, like following very not human looking craft. Like that's a lot of what people are filming. It's like, why are there like helicopters following an orb? We can track that there have been entire like infrastructure set up to feed disinformation saying that they aren't real. So for people who are like, I don't believe in aliens because the government now is admitting it, babe, there's some parts of the government that are being forced to admit it because the Congress is allowing the hearings to take place, right? And yet and still, half of the witnesses are then threatened by other factions of the government. This is what you gotta, you know, really tap in with is when you talk about the alien shit. You gotta tap in that like there's actually been a lot of development in that field, and it's like so far from this like fringe conspiracy theory that it used to be. And it's fascinating. I don't know. I am worried though. I am a bit shook. Because just because I hold the belief that it's not all, you know, human, that doesn't say shit about the intentions of the not so human shit going on either. What I do know is there's weird shit in the sky and the government. It's not just that they're lying about it. So I think a lot of people are coping and they're like, oh, the government's just lying. It's their craft. And then they kind of wash their hands of it and move on. And it's like, that seems like a really easy, simple explanation that also coincidentally like relieves you of any stress to just tell yourself like, oh, it's our stuff and they're lying. It's bad that you trust the government so little. That's the other takeaway. But also it seems very comforting for you as well that you get to be like, oh, it's ours. It's fine. I don't know if all of it is ours. If you look at the dynamics of Trump coming into office, Trump is very pro-disclosure. Trump has actually been vocal on the Joe Rogan podcast and other interviews about how he wants to disclose.
There's a lot of interest in it.
One of the things that
There's a lot of interest in the people coming from space, you know.
Yes.
And I know you're interested in that.
Oh, I'm very
too.
interested in that. How much did they tell you about that?
A lot.
Really?
Yeah.
A lot of people are very interested in the footage of UFOs. Will you help push the Pentagon to release more footage, which a lot of people claim is available?
Oh, yeah, sure. I'll do that. I would do that. I'd love to do that. I have to do that.
And it sounds so crazy we're talking like openly about that, but I don't know. Get with it. Like the president talking about aliens. Humans since the beginning of time have talked about aliens. I don't know. I just know that there is an entire like legal apparatus around this as well. There's like lawyers that specialize in defending and fighting for people that are harmed by the government because they disclose stuff. One of the top UFO lawyers, and it probably sounds crazy if this is your first time tapping in, but knock, knock. Wake up, 2025, aliens, dear. One of the top UFO lawyers was at RFK's Thanksgiving dinner party at his home.
I've talked to Bobby about this, a number of times. And he has agreed to issue public statements, which he has, stating flatly that he will engage in the disclosure of this information. We've been able to get information through to Trump. Trump has stated that he's generally in favor of disclosure of this.
If I'm crazy, then so is Trump and RFK and all of Congress and every whistleblower that's ever come out and every person that's ever depicted this throughout history and their art. All the ancient cultures are crazy. Trump's crazy. Congress is crazy. Okay. Well, I'm placing my bet that I'm the same kind of crazy as like the leader of the free world and all of our ancestors who also believed in and saw these things. You also just kind of meet people that have experiences, right? Everyone just kind of knows somebody who's like experienced something. So you don't gotta trust the government. Trust your fellow man. That's where I'm at. And now, as we settle into the love, the joy, the holiday spirit, Christmas vibes, the feeling of togetherness, happiness, we have to first purge the evil.
I have exorcised the demons.
And on this podcast, that has a very specific name, which is reacting to woke TikToks. Let's go.
Being misgendered can be an incredibly painful experience.
You cannot be goth or punk and conservative. You're just cosplaying. Being a goth and being a punk is not about the clothes. It is about your ideologies and who you are as a person here and here. And some goth conservatives or punk conservatives, what the fuck is even that, will come and say, well, I listen to the music though, but I voted for Trump and I'm goth. No, congratulations on being the very last true poser.
That made me itchy. And I swear to God, it smelled too. I don't know what the little lawn gnome on the left, little hobbit, thought she was adding to the video by flipping it off constantly. It really wasn't cute. It really wasn't becoming. And I just want to know, when the fuck did being punk mean following all the rules? Following mainstream society, following the corporate media, following the corporations that all have guidelines and hiring practices and public belief systems that line up with yours. When the fuck did that happen? When the fuck did y'all start raging with the machine, for the machine? When did that happen? When did that happen? And also, just trying to be the gatekeepers of these like vague, not actually that meaningful phrases like, we got to defend punkness. Like, what are you talking about? It's really not that deep. It's really not that deep because guess what? I know y'all hold those words very close, right? It really means something to you. It's actually very meaningless. I don't know what is fulfilling you as far as that goes, but for me, I would just advise against posting this. Going forward, like maybe just don't post this type of shit anymore.
I have been misgendered 3 times in the past 24 hours at restaurants.
Clap if you care.
All right, let's move on.
Last night, I was at Benihana with my girlfriend, and the server said, "What about you, sir? What would you like to eat?" My girlfriend, God bless her heart, steps in, says, "Actually, that's ma'am." And she looks at my girlfriend and didn't really understand what had happened and said, "No, I'm talking to him," pointing at me. Our jaws were on the floor, and we decided to leave because it was just a bad vibe after that.
I'm so sorry this is happening to you. This, I've heard stories of poverty. I've heard the accounts of refugees that have escaped war. And now I've heard this. And I'm so sorry. This encompasses liberalism at its core. People who are allergic to personal responsibility. So this person, this man, will walk through, and yes, I called him a man, Darren will walk through life forever being called sir, and I promise you it will never, ever, ever even be a whisper in the back of his subconscious that maybe there's something that he could do to change that if that's something he wanted changed, right? There's nothing in him that would ever hint that maybe it has anything to do with his personal choices. And yes, that does involve, if you want to be called something else, you would have to transition, but that would not be conducive to being a pervert, right? Because if you transition, then you're sterilized and then you're not horny anymore and then you don't get boners for your OnlyFans, right? So there's a lot of reasons why you actually would want to stay a man but keep the victim, like I'm being a trans and I'm oppressed thing. There's a lot of reasons, right? And I see all of them. Unfortunately, I see them. And this is how you know TikTok be paying, by the way. This man is up on camera 7 days a week talking about I got misgendered at a restaurant. You eat out every day? You eat out every day. The content where you are complaining about being misgendered in a restaurant pays so much that you have to eat out 7 days a week just to up those odds. Like, I need somebody to call me a man so I can talk about it on TikTok and pay for this meal. You probably deepen that voice, widen those shoulders. You're probably up there like, yes, I would like a quesadilla. Just in the hopes that you get called a man so you can TikTok, I got misgendered again. I promise you, you're really not that hard to figure out. You are, in fact, a simple bitch. You're giving simpleton.
No, you aren't supporting, investing, or organizing your community to uplift the most marginalized if you're still not masking. Our liberation has always been connected. The continued rise of fascism is directly connected to Palestine, Sudan, Congo, losing reproductive rights, anti-trans violence, xenophobia, and yes, COVID. Being okay with disabled and immunocompromised folks dying for your convenience is not very progressive of you, especially when we know repeat infections can cause lifelong damage for all of us. If you are unable to handle the inconvenience of wearing a mask to protect your community, how much are you really willing to personally invest in the liberation of marginalized people?
Not at all. I have zero interest in investing in the interests of marginalized people. I have to be so honest. I'm gonna just be upfront with you. I really don't give a fuck. Because I still gotta pay my bills, bitch. First of all, to anybody who's like, why is Blaire reacting to a TikTok from 2020? This is from November of 24, last month. That's scary. Genuinely scary. I feel like this is more just an exercise in fitting as many lived out words as you can in one video. That might be the art to this, because how you fit the Congo, how you manage to work in the Congo in a preachy bullshit video about wearing a mask is so crazy and next level that actually, now that I'm saying it out loud and really walking through this, I have respect for it. That's fucking crazy. You are an innovator, girl.
Period.
But next time, just say you're autistic and go, because this whole video is just autism that is not weaponized in a positive direction. See, you could be solving crimes and shit. You could be the CIA's top asset. You could be finding missing children in the Congo with this level of autism if you just weaponized it for good rather than being a lived out bitch, because this is just a sad state of affairs for you. Right? When I see that potential, I see you sitting somewhere. Actually, no, I know you're autistic. I'm not going to take you out of your element. I see you sitting in this room with all those stuffed animals, color coordinated, but also finding missing children in the Congo. Because you can just hone in on that. While you're honing in on masks, I guess it's not your fault. I mean, we really do. As far as the wish list of Trump that I have for Trump, you know, everyone wants to talk about, I want Trump to disclose JFK. I want, you know, Trump to disclose the aliens. I want Trump to reduce, you know, taxes. All those things, yes. But number one is going to need to be putting Fauci in Gitmo, babe. Because this is a crime. Look what they're doing to the autistic angels. See, it's not just the autistic angels being, you know, convinced to transition. It's trapping the autistic angels in this never-ending prison of COVID. Because there's a lot of people like this still doing fucking videos like this in 2024. And that's crazy. That is how you know it's an experiment ran on them, just like those damn puppies. Just like those damn monkeys in the cages. This was a monkey in a cage.
White supremacy is so engulfing of white people. And they don't even realize it at half the time, I don't think. White supremacy is so palpable between them that it has white women actively voting against their best interests, against their freedom, against their humanity, in hopes of impressing their husbands, in hopes of impressing their preachers and other male leaders in the community.
So I'm usually not the one to throw out words like this because I think it's really annoying when y'all do it, but you're sexist. To chalk up that the reason why white women vote a certain way is to impress men, to impress their husband, to impress male people in their community. Again, it just comes down to liberals. All they do is express who they really are. All they do is project who they really are. So they think women are stupid. They think women are dumb. To pretend as if they don't have a mind for their own to vote in the way that they want to, and then to never even follow it up, by the way, with, they love to say voting against their own self-interest. Notice how they never, ever elaborate on that. They just throw it out there, and it's like, hold on. You know, you should complete a thought. I know that's hard for you, babe. I know that's hard for you. But complete the thought. What best interests? And who are you sitting up here to tell them what those interests are? Do they not have the autonomy to decide what their own best interests are? What is it? Just say you hate women and go, sister. Just be like, I hate bitches. They have no brain. They're stupid. They are not comparable in intellect to men, because that's what you believe. They're just voting in a way to impress men. And go. And never come back.
Here's a little hack to stop your parents from misgendering you this holiday season. So say you're at a family event and your parents misgender you in front of everyone. Simply release all of the piss and shit in your body onto the floor. Start pissing on the floor. Start shitting on the floor. And when your family's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Just go, my parents never taught me how to piss or shit in the toilet, so I have to piss and shit on the carpet.
First of all, I don't know what is going on with trans TikTokers and having the Benjamin Franklin hair. And for you to be giving white man at all of any century is the problem, right, sis? If you don't want to be misgendered, then you need to be giving woman, not founding father. It's not lost on me also. I know this person's mostly kidding, but like, it's not lost on me just how gross y'all are. How easily, like, I know I'm foul-mouthed, right? But how easily y'all go into like piss and shit. And like, you know who like just so easily talks like that is like men. Like, just being honest, it's like only time I hear anyone saying like piss and shit is men. I can't even say it without putting that inflection, piss and shit. That's how you talk. So if you're questioning why people are not coming around in your family to saying she, it might have something to do with that founding father look and that foul mouth.
Here we go. Count 1, guilty. Count 2, guilty. Count 3, guilty. Count 4, guilty.
Count 5, fucking insufferable. The worst. Physiognomy is real. And if her physiognomy was in a dictionary, it would just be called the worst. The worst. Can't have a conversation with this hoe. She don't even know what's left and what's right. Non-binary and female. Well, babe, those are already contradictory. Ho. I'm non-binary and on the binary. I'm a lesbian and I'm a man. But I'm not a man because I'm non-binary. And all you had to say was, I don't have a personality. I don't have hobbies. And I really don't know where I'm going in life because my dad never hugged me. And these are things that I would have empathy for. In fact, I would sit here and have a very loving response like, babe, you look like a librarian already, so maybe go to school for that because you're already giving that look. Right? Just some life advice if you were just honest. But to sit up here and lie to my face on Christmas, it's crazy. It's crazy. But we're taking the high road during this holiday season. We're taking the high road. And I'm ready to get on the road because that is all I have for this video. I love you guys. Make sure you subscribe to my main channel as well as my podcast. Subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, all the things. Follow me on X and Instagram. And I'll see you in the next podcast, which will be in a new studio. But before then, the next main channel video. But I'm rambling. Love you. Bye.